Alright, my name is Mary. I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic. My sobriety date is December 12th, 2005. I have a sponsor. I have the honor and privilege of sponsoring other women. Recovery is my life. I'm the house manager here at Attack Addiction, and I get the honor and privilege of helping these ladies every day. I also have the honor of raising my grandson because of my sobriety, being in my children's lives.
What's been the toughest part about recovery?
I can't say that it's been tough because my life was so horrible before. So everything after that has been just not tough. It's been easy. I think out there using and getting high was tough. It was a job.
What does recovery mean for you?
When I knew that was the question, I looked up the definition of recovery, and the definition I came up with is a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. And then it said underneath, the moment you realize that life is worth living. And that's what it means to me, is that my life is worth living. My kids can depend on me. My grandkids can depend on me. These ladies can depend on me. I have a 25-year-old son that texts me in the middle of the day, "I love you, Mom." That didn't happen in my addiction. He wanted nothing to do with me. My life is great today because of my recovery and because I worked really hard for it.
Do you remember the time that you first felt life was worth living?
It took a while. It took a while. Because I also deal with depression, and so to think my life was worth living, at first it wasn't. At first it was sad, remorseful, full of fear, full of shame. Today it's not like that. Today my life is wonderful.
Any advice you'd offer somebody who's at the point they want to take the next step?
Just do it. I had a counselor in rehab one time that said to me, take the Nike approach and just do it. And it really stuck with me, because that's what, just dive in head first and just do it. It's worth it. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it.
Heather.
And how long have you been in recovery?
I've been in recovery, it'll be 2 years next month.
What brought you here?
Just an opportunity to start over and not have to rely on family or anything. Like I'm doing this all by myself, and it feels good.
What's been the hardest part for recovery?
The hardest part of recovery is feeling all the emotions and going through them without something there to numb you. That's probably been the hardest part for me.
What do you do when you start to feel like that you need that numb?
I just let myself feel it. It's uncomfortable, but it's just something you have to go through. Sometimes I'm able to talk to people about it. Other times I can maybe listen to music, and that, will help me out. But overall, you just gotta go through it.
Do you remember the day or the time, or at what point you decided this was the step you were ready to take? The time that you knew, okay, I've got to go to recovery. Did you hit like a rock bottom, or did you?
Yes, I had my son died, and after that I just I guess I grew kind of like a hatred and resentment for the drug, and at that point it became easier to me. I don't want to go back there. I want to do good, and he can look down on me and know I'm doing good.
What's your next step? What's the next thing you feel you need to do?
The next thing I need to do is to just stay stable, get a job and keep it, get a place to live and keep it, get a bank account, get all the normal responsible things that normal people have.
And if somebody's at the point you were and they are looking for recovery, what would you say? What advice would you give to them?
My advice to them would be, it's hard, it's going to be hard, but in the end it's so much worth it. It's a second chance at life. It's an opportunity to right your wrongs and become the person that you know inside you can be and that you are.
Hi, my name is Erin. My sobriety date is July 31st of this year, 2020. I started my addiction when I was 23 and becoming an alcoholic and a heroin user. And I've been trying to get it right ever since. And that's about it.
How long were you using?
I've been using for 10 years on heroin and alcohol.
So this recovery is fairly new for you.
Yes, recovery is new for me.
And has it been hard?
It has been hard. I have a 13-year-old boy and a 5-year-old baby girl that need their mother, and it's time for me to get it this time for sure.
Are they the biggest reason?
Yes, my kids are my biggest, the biggest reason why I want to get clean and sober.
Did you try? Have you tried before, or is this like the first?
I've tried getting clean and sober more times than I can count. What they would call me is a chronic relapser, and I've been in and out of facilities since I was 23 years old. Actually, my first time in a facility was when I was pregnant with my son, so that was 18, and then I was clean for a few years and started back when I was 23 years old.
What about this time feels different? Anything?
This time feels different because I want it a lot more than I did before. My kid's father just got full custody of my kids, and that was my breaking point of, it was a wake-up call, a big wake-up call, and I'm going to fight tooth and nail to get my children back.
What do you see as your next step in the next few months?
My next step in the next few months is definitely getting a sponsor. Supposed to be getting a sponsor within the next couple of days, and going to as many meetings as possible, applying the 12 steps to my everyday life, and getting myself back.
How will you know when you've got yourself back?
I think I'll know when I get myself back when I feel myself again, and I feel I say like the emotions, we numb that pain for so long that we don't even know how to feel, being sad or being happy, like we don't know them feelings because we've suppressed them for so long, and we were drinking and drugging, so we didn't feel.
What advice would you give somebody who was at the point you were?
If someone was at the point where I am, I would tell them that it's possible, that, you know, recovery is possible and they can do it. They just have to work hard, and it's an everyday thing. You have to apply recovery to every day.
Hi, I'm Leslie, and I ended up in recovery because I hit bottom and I lost everything, my house, my family, everything I ever had, and it was time to get my life back.
How long have you been in recovery?
This time around I've only been in 46 days. I've tried one other time, and I started at attack addiction then too, and I got 2.5 years clean, but I had some extenuating things happen, and I ended up going back out for a month, and I came right back to attack addiction to get back on my feet.
Have you been able to do that, you feel?
I feel so much weight lifted off of me. I feel so much better. Mary's helping me get everything back together. I just feel like this time things are different for me.
And how do you mean different?
I mean, I feel more positive about this journey this time. Last time I was negative, like, oh, I just have to do it because I have to do it. This time I want it. I want to do it.
Is there anybody particular or any reason you want to do it more?
No, there's no reason I want to do it more. It's other than myself. I'm tired of being the one that always needs someone else's help, always living under someone else's roof. I want nice things. I want my own place. I want to be able to have my dog. Right now my mom's watching my dog for me. I just want everything to be on my own terms from now on.
What kind of dog?
She's a mixed breed. She's a pit bull and chocolate lab.
Like,
She's beautiful.
what's her name?
Bailey.
Right, now if somebody was getting ready to take a step into recovery, what advice would you have for them?
I would tell them just take a deep breath and go with the flow. Don't try to overthink it, because you'll get too bogged down in the everyday details. Just go with the flow, and eventually your fake it till you make it will turn into you're making it on your own.
My name's Janae.
Now, how did you end up in recovery?
I ended up in recovery back in April through a little bit of force and me being tired. I was tired of running the streets. I'd been out in the streets for the last 8 years. I had never got any help. I've never been in recovery before, so me being out there 8 years straight, you know, with no help and nobody to turn to except for my dad. You know, I was homeless. I never had anywhere to live. And I couldn't go live with my dad because he was in an all-men's facility. And the only place I depended on somewhere to live was jail. So that was my safe haven. So every time I needed somewhere to go, I would be hoping that I would get locked up just because I had a minor fine, off of a minor fine, and I had a bench warrant, and I would be gone for 29 days, and I'd be right back at him. But
That gave you a place to live?
they gave me a place to rest my head for 29 days, maybe even 30, if I was lucky enough to get an extra day. You know, just to pick up some weight and have something to eat for those 30 days and some rest. But that's what I relied on.
How long have you been here?
Well, let's say this. I've only been here for 7 or 8 days, but I spent the bulk of my time at Women's Residential Program, WRP, which I spent 90 days there. And that's really where I gained my recovery. I started out
My first recovery program was Sun Behavioral. I spent 11 days there. And the bulk of my recovery came from, like I said, WRP, where I spent 90. And as of today, I have 115 days clean.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And you're looking at somebody that couldn't keep a stem out of their mouth one day. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If somebody else was at that point you were, would you have some advice for them?
My advice would be, honestly, would be, when you're tired, you'll know when you're tired. When you're tired, you're gonna do it for you. You can't do recovery for anybody else. You have to want to do it for you. You can't do it for your kids. You can't do it for mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your cousin. You have to want recovery for you and nobody else. Because it's not gonna work if you try to do it for anyone else. It's only gonna work if you do it and want it for you.
What's the one thing you probably are looking forward to the most out of recovery?
The one thing I'm looking for the most out of recovery is one thing the most I'm looking for out of recovery is just keeping my recovery. Keeping my recovery.
My name is Chance. I've been at Attack Addiction for about 62 days. I got here because it became enough. I started hurting my family. I started hurting myself. I lost a lot of self-confidence. They say recovery is a process of change through which people improve. And I have to say right now it's been very difficult for me. They say that the first process of like the withdrawal for me was supposed to be hard, but I think it's more mental that's been hard. And when I came to Attack Addiction, you get to sit, you get to ponder on who you really are. If you don't have a spiritual or a higher power, I don't know how you can do it, because being an addict, there's no handbook for it. There's really no handbook for this, because like we hurt the people that we love. I've heard stories from people in this house that they lost their sight, they lost their house, they lost the relationship with their kids. And I think striving to be the best you right now is that all that matters. And I know that I'm trying to fight to be the best me. And when I walked into these doors, I didn't know what to expect. I know that Miss Mary cares. You have to have someone that cares, that's been through it. And each day it hasn't been pleasant, but knowing that I'm trying and that I'm leaning on my higher power, it's worth the effort.
Do you wake up in the morning some days knowing it's not going to be a pleasant day?
Every day I wake up knowing it's not going to be a pleasant day. I think that's where you get comfortable with your spirituality or your higher deity, and you ask for guidance. I mean, when you're really, really serious and you have that desire, you have to ask for help.
Is this 62 days the first or the longest time that you've gone for this?
This is the first time that I ever been in like a rehab away from my family because of me being powerless. Yes.
If you had to give somebody advice who was getting ready to attempt recovery for the first time like this, what advice would you give?
Put on your full armor. Get ready for the storm. And if you're serious, when you come back from war, it's going to be well worth it. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. When you reach, I don't know if anybody in recovery, if you ever reach where you're
completely recovered, because it's always a struggle. It's always a. But what do you hope? What do you hope to feel at one point that you're not feeling yet?
I hope to feel the no. If someone was to ever offer me something that would tear my body up and tear my mind and rip me away from my family, I hope that my no is sincere. And that's the only thing that matters to me at the end of this roller coaster, is getting off and meaning what I say.
My name is Kayla. I am the recovery coach at the Attack Addiction Women's Sober Living House, and I have been in recovery for 2 years and 4 months. My journey into recovery was long and difficult. I started using at a very young age, about 17, and what brought me into recovery this time, after multiple failed attempts, was that I just found myself with nothing. You know, I found myself completely mentally, emotionally, and spiritually bankrupt, and that gift of desperation, you know, sank in after about 10 consistent years of using, and I became desperate to do anything different, and I like to say that I haven't looked back since, but recovery has been one of the most amazing things that I've ever experienced in my life. And I started out as a client here, and have been, you know, given the opportunity to be able to come back and work with the women here, and it's amazing. It's beautiful, and working with the women here and watching them learn and grow has been the best part of my recovery.
Does working with women here actually help you in your own recovery?
So working with the women here absolutely does help me in my recovery. Believe it or not, I learn so much from the women who come in here with, you know, 30, 60 days clean. They teach me about myself just as much as I feel like I teach them about themselves.
What has been the hardest part of recovery for you, at least?
The hardest part of recovery for me has been taking a good, honest look at myself. For me, it's necessary to heal from my past in order to move forward from it. And it's a difficult thing to face a lot of the trauma that I've experienced. But that's, you know, there's a good side to that as well, because, you know, in being able to heal from those things, it puts me in a really good position to be able to help others who have been through similar things.
What is the main thing you want to get out of your recovery?
You know, my recovery to me is just my life, and I consider it a journey, and I consider it the greatest opportunity I've ever had to become a better person. And, you know, even if I have a really, really hard day, you know, I get to go to sleep at night knowing that, you know, I did the best I could, and feeling good about the person that I am, which is something I've never really experienced in my life until I got into recovery. And, you know, that feeling of peace and serenity that I have today is not comparable to anything. And, you know, I'm eternally grateful for what recovery has given me.